It's night now. The dog is still outside. The mom and the dad are on the second floor looking out their window at the dog. The dog is barking at them. Not barking in general, not barking at a cat, barking at them, like their house is on fire. The dad says, I tried to bring her in. She won't come in. She's fine. Apparently, none of the kids give a shit about the dog. The mom asks the dad if he's down to christen.
You still too fried to christen the new house?
So they fuck. And I'm only telling you that because it comes up the next morning. The mom wakes up with a big bruise on her shin. She starts walking around, waking up the kids and asking them how they slept. The kids say, it's cold.
How did you guys sleep?
I'm cold.
It is chilly, isn't it?
The older sister comes out of the bathroom. She says something smelled funky in her room last night. It smelled like something died.
And there was this really funky smell in my bedroom last night. It reeked like something died.
The mom asks if the smell is still there, and the daughter says no. So the mom says, problem solved.
Is it still there?
No.
Problem solved.
Which I get is like a funny mom response. But it's their first night in their new house, and they found a hidden cellar. So you might want to take note of the random smells of death. She finds her husband in the basement screwing in a light bulb, and he has a flashlight. You fucking kidding me? Why did he wait to use the flashlight till morning? Why didn't he get the flashlight instead of the matches? The basement has windows, so how did they not know it was there? The dad says he'll be up in a minute because he wants to see if he can get the furnace working.
Yeah, that'd be nice. It's freezing.
Yeah.
So did they move into this house with all their stuff and their 5 kids and their dog without knowing if it had a furnace? Because the furnace is in the basement. They didn't know there was a basement. How are they planning to heat their giant, drafty house? The dad comes in the kitchen and the mom says the clock in the kitchen and the one in the hallway both stopped at 3:07 a.m. The dad says that's weird. Maybe it got knocked around in the move.
Maybe you got knocked around in the move.
Fair enough if it's just one clock. But two clocks got broken in the same way at the same time, but they drop it immediately to talk about the mom's bruise.
Speaking of knocked around, what did you do to me last night?
So they bail themselves out of that one. This movie's gonna do that a lot. Anytime it hits a dead end with like, oh, that doesn't make any fucking sense, it just bails itself out. So just then, the little girl outside screams. She found the dog and it's dead. You tied your dog up outside your first night on your new large wooded property. You can't be that surprised if something kills it during the night. Cut back to the Warrens' house. Ed is giving some guy a tour of their museum.
Everything you see in here is either haunted, cursed, or has been used in some kind of ritualistic practice.
The guy says, why don't you just burn all this stuff?
Sometimes it's better to keep the genie in the bottle.
Ed says it's better to keep all the demons and spirits and shit in their vessels, and if you burn them, that'll just release them. So this is some serious shit, because this is a lot of stuff in a tiny room. So a fire or a burglary could have major repercussions. You're not even supposed to touch this stuff. That's how dangerous it is.
Don't touch it. Oh.
He doesn't mention that in real life. The reason they have all this stuff, that's super dangerous. People pay to get tours of their museum. There's even a story about a guy who toured the museum, ignored the warnings not to mess with stuff, taunted the Annabelle doll, and then died in a motorcycle crash after. Which means one of 3 things. 1, it's a bullshit story. 2, a guy did tour the museum, and he did die in a motorcycle accident. But it's total coincidence, and they're just capitalizing on it. 3, the doll is actually possessed and killed a guy for taunting it. And they're still allowed to keep it and charge people to see it. Anyway, the guy wants to see Annabelle.
Say, is the Annabelle doll here?
She's in a glass case with a sign on it that says, do not open. The guy is like, you said she's a conduit, right? What does that mean?
A very powerful demonic has latched itself onto her.
So not the brightest demon. The guy says, how do you keep these demons from latching on to you? Ed says, we take great precaution. The guy says, what about your wife?
But what about your wife?
Which is not a sentence you say like that.
What about her?
Well, Father Gordon told me that...
Then Ed interrupts him and says, what happened to my wife happened during an exorcism. It's different. The guy says, how's it different? Which is a great question, but we don't know how to answer it. So The movie bails itself out by having Judy, the Warrens' daughter, sneak into the room. Also, remember the part where the guy's like, Father Gordon told me, and then Ed interrupts him? Father Gordon is like the Warrens' hookup to the church. He's their guy. And apparently he's just gossiping about them, and they don't bring it up later. Anyway, Ed is like, what are you doing in here? You can't come in here. Did you touch anything? Don't touch anything.
What, did you touch anything?
No.
Remember, you can't come in here. Okay? See you later.
You can't go into this room no matter what, remember?
Yes, Dad.
All right.
This room is full of cool shit and toys. And her parents are telling her, you can't go in there. So of course she's going to want to go in there. She's going to want to go in there her whole life. This little girl should not even know that this room exists. Next scene, Ed brings Lorraine tea. He tells her talking to the guy went well. And we find out the guy is a reporter writing an article about them.
Oh, I think he may write a positive article.
Ooh, a non-skeptic.
And then they have an awkward exchange of glances. And she says, stop blaming yourself. So I guess she was reading his mind or something. And the scene should have ended right there, but it doesn't. It sits there for a second, and then she sips the tea, and she's like, ugh.
No sugar.
And that's the end of the scene. What the fuck was that? Why is that in there? Cut back to the family in the shitty house. We see the clock stops. It's 3:07 a.m. Two girls are asleep in their room, each in their own bed, about 6 feet apart from each other. One girl gets yanked. Pretty good. She doesn't react really. She doesn't even open her eyes. She just says, not funny, Nancy.
Not funny, Nancy.
What?
I shouldn't have to point this out, but when Nancy says what, she says it from her face, which is like 6 feet away. So you know she's over there.
What?
Stop grabbing my foot.
Nancy says, shut up, I didn't do anything.
Shut up, I didn't do anything.
You're right.
Neither one of them are alarmed by the foot grabbing. The first girl says, and stop farting.
Stop farting. It really stinks.
Nancy says, don't blame that on me. It's you.
It's you. Phew.
End scene. Next scene. Staticky TV, thumping sounds. Straight out of Paranormal Activity. The dad is passed out on his desk, and the thumping wakes him up. He sees a door start to slowly open itself. But as he goes to walk towards it, it's almost closed again. He checks it out, and there's an open window and a breeze. So I guess he's like, oh, it was the wind. But just then he hears another loud thud. He finds his oldest daughter on the stairs, and she says, it's Cindy. She's in my room. She's sleepwalking again. Cindy is sleepwalking, but she's also like sleep banging her head into a giant wardrobe. And the dad just ushers her off to bed. The next morning, it's time for more non-stop bullshit. The mom says to the dad,
She's sleepwalking again? She hasn't done that for a while.
the dad notices a big bruise on the mom's back. And she goes, huh, that's weird. So the dad leaves the house to go to work, and a bird smashes into his house, breaking its own neck. And it's just flapping around on the ground, a little bit alive still. And the dad just kind of stands there and looks at it. And then who knows, because the scene just ends. The next shot is for the kids walking down a long driveway towards a school bus. And I guess none of them said goodbye to their mom on what I think is their first day of school. Because she comes running out of the house and she's yelling, bye, love you. Cindy, do you have your lunch?
Cindy, you have your lunch? Yeah.
They don't give a fuck. So inside we can hear the youngest daughter, April, and she's saying,
I miss Sadie a lot. She was my best friend.
Sadie, in case you forgot, is the fucking dog. The family dog that died the first night they were there, and no one has really said a word about it. The mom opens the door and sees that April is sitting by herself. The mom says, who are you talking to? April says, Rory. He's my new friend. Do you want to see him? The mom says, yeah. How?
Yeah, do you want to see him?
Yeah? How?
With this.
You wouldn't say how. You wouldn't say how. April says, with this. And she hands her mom the music box that April found when they moved in. Top flips open and has a mirror in it. April says, when the music stops, you'll see him in the mirror behind you. And the mom is just like, okay. And she does it with a big dumb smile on her face. And the mirror has like a hypnosis swirl on it. And there's a little clown that pops up and down while it's playing the music. And only about halfway through does the mom realize, like, what the fuck am I doing? Because she starts to get a nervous look on her face. And the music stops.
Boo, Mommy!
Which is such a good prank. Then April says, Mom, do you want to play hide and clap with me? Not only is hide and clap the dumbest fucking game ever, but are you really going to play with April? But the mom is like, okay, you can blindfold me even though you're the only other person here. And you were just talking to yourself about our dead dog. And you just fucking scorched me with the best prank ever pulled off by a child. So April goes and hides. On the first clap, the mom knocks over a bunch of shit. And runs into a banister, which is lucky because it's the only thing keeping her from falling to the first floor.
Second clap.
Second clap, she wanders into the room with the wardrobe. We see the wardrobe doors open behind her. And she says, third clap. 2 arms come out from behind the clothes and clap. And it's supposed to be creepy, but it's fucking silly. It seems like something Bugs Bunny would do, or like Mike Myers' Cat in the Hat. She wanders over there and she sticks her arm right into the clothes.
I can hear you breathing. April.
And then April pops into the room and she's like, haha, not even close. I was in the other room. I win. And they show the mom is confused and rattled a little bit. But that's the end of the scene. They did the creepy hide and clap thing. That's all they wanted to do. So the scene's over. We don't need to know how the mom shook that one off. How she went about the rest of her day with the insane fucking hallucination she just had. They should have at least made her like a drunk or something where she could be like, ugh. Anyway.
It's Florida. It's a week turnaround. I start tomorrow.